Ihr hört den Antenne1 Star Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we will have the honor to do a phone call to one of the most inspiring bands of the decade, also known as a brilliant live act all over the world. From Manchester, UK, I hope the connection is fine to Theo Hutchcraft and Adam Anderson from the band Hurts. Hello.
Hello. That's a very nice intro. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure to have you on the phone. I hope you're fine.
Yes, everything's wonderful. Thank you.
First of it, congratulations to this sensational new record. To me, an emotional monster and a beast of art in the best sense. So, seriously, how stressful was the work on this 11 new songs?
Yeah, it was a difficult time for us. You know, it was the beginning of it was very difficult because we had to take a break from music for a while, and we had a lot of personal problems and things like that. So the beginning of the process was difficult. But then when we decided that we wanted to just put everything into it and give everything to the album, that was inspiring, and we started to do some good work, and then things started to flow. So yeah, it was tricky, but I think we got there in the end, and we're very proud of it now.
The title of the album is Faith. This stands for you and the new music, right?
Yeah, of course. It's a very ambiguous title. It's one that we had near the beginning. It was one of several titles we were considering. And then as we got near to completing the album, it became clear that was what the album should be called. And it makes a lot of sense. Faith can mean many things, obviously, to different people. For me, it's more of an individual thing. How I personally get through the days. My faith wavers sometimes. Sometimes I have it, sometimes I don't. And of course, there are bigger themes like a higher power, greater good. And I think the greater good for me and Theo whilst making this record was the day that we've found ourselves in now, the day the album came out. We put everything into it. We believed in each other and what we were making at all costs. And it's a great day to be finally here.
And you get the inspiration to these new songs from the time in between when you stopped playing as a band.
Yeah, it was. I think this was a kind of album we wanted to make for a long time. It's an album that sits somewhere between our first two albums, and yeah, we wanted to explore sort of the darker themes and the darker music that we really love. So it was, we took inspiration from that time and other sort of influences that we've used over the years.
For example, on the back of the booklet is folie à deux written.
Yeah.
That is a synonym for infectious insanity. Am I right?
Yes, it is. It's like it's a phrase that I've always thought was very interesting. It's when two people can sort of influence each other to go mad, and I feel like at certain points of the album, it certainly felt like that. You know, we were isolated making it, and it was definitely that feeling. So I've always liked that phrase.
So you infected yourselves.
Yeah.
When one is listening to the album, to me, the music is taking the listeners on a long and fascinating and even hard journey through the dark. Is it your intention, or am I completely wrong?
When it comes to the music, I think for me personally, this is Adam speaking, by the way. Mm-hmm. For me personally, it was about getting to the root of my true nature, getting to the core of who I am. Music is my language, and I wanted to communicate the most honest parts of myself, and I think sometimes that makes it difficult to listen to, but I also think some of the music on this album is very beautiful and very, like you say, very emotional. I think it's the most emotional our music has been in certain places. So I think for the two of us, we wanted to make a very authentic album, a very truthful one, and that involves going towards some dark places, and we both individually did that, and that's why it sounds like it does.
And this is a very personal album from you. But in fact, every listener will make his own, I call it, movie to the music. Is that fine with you?
Yeah, that's always fine for us, you know. I think we put our stories and our feelings into the music, but it's just as important that everybody else can do the same, because I think that is where the magic is. And that's why when the album comes out, we start to learn about the songs in a new way. We start to learn about what they mean to people and perhaps see them in a way we hadn't before. And it's so exciting for us.
It's like to see one thing from another direction, yeah?
Yeah, totally. And it's like, because for a while there's just the two of us that hear the music. So it's always really exciting, this phase. And then there's another phase that comes when you start to perform them live and you start to understand them again in a new way.
Because you see it in the eyes and the reaction of the audience.
Yeah, totally.
One of my absolute highlights on the album is All I Have to Give.
God knows I try. It might not be good enough, but it's all I have to give. This is all I have to give. You might be right sometimes. I never open up, but it's all I have to give. This is all I have to give.
So would you be so kind and tell me the story behind this song?
I think that's a song that perhaps says a lot about what the album is about. You know, it was a song we wrote kind of in the middle of things when we were struggling creatively, and it was a song where I personally was at my worst, and I felt the worst, and it was very difficult for me to work. So the hard thing to do was I didn't know whether to write about that or to sort of distract myself and run away from it. And we decided to write a song that was just exactly about that, and to be honest and raw and open. And yeah, hopefully people can see that and connect to it. It's a scary feeling to release a song like that, but I think it was very helpful to write.
Kind of like a therapy.
Yeah, definitely.
What's going on in you and what are your thoughts? I think especially this song is a song everyone can feel it in his own way from his own experiences.
Yeah, that means a lot, you know. I think the feedback we've had from it is great, because when you write a song, you don't know if anybody else feels the same. You're only doing it for yourself. So if one other person connects to it, and it makes you feel better. So it's a great thing.
Another song, because when the album ends, you finish this, to me, still a musical journey, with the song Darkest Hour, a song of hope and a song that is offering help and support. Goes the song more to your audience or to yourself?
I think both, really. I think the two of us, even though we have dark times, we always sort of believe there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And our music has always reflected that right from the beginning. Even when the songs have been at their most melancholy, there's always been that chink of light and that sense of hope. And this album perhaps is as dark as things have got, and at times it's quite bleak. And I think we both wanted to leave the table with something that was more, you know, potentially optimistic, like there might be a light at the end of the tunnel, there might be some salvation, some redemption. It was important to go out on that tone, really. So it was a perfect end to the album in that sense.
Yeah, I think so. And it would be even a perfect finishing track for a live show.
Yeah, certainly.
What do you think?
Yeah, we can't wait to play the shows, you know. I think we got a tour on sale for next year, for February, March next year. And yeah, as always with our songs, to play them live is a special experience, and that one will be amazing, yeah.
But before we are able to see you live again, and I hope that will be soon, but nobody knows exactly right now. Let's talk about a little about the more disturbing songs, like, for example, Fractured or Suffer.
Yeah.
That's heavy stuff. It reminds me of the endless suffering and the despair you can hear, for example, in some songs written by Trent Reznor of Nine Inch Nails. So I have this one thought in mind. Great art is painful, isn't it?
It is. It's not always easy to express yourself artistically when you are in pain, though. It's a bit of a challenge sometimes. I find when I'm struggling mentally, it's more difficult for me to access that part of my brain. So for me, this was an album where there was an opportunity for me to go towards that a bit more. There's a wildness in some of those songs as well that we haven't really touched on before. Songs like Fractured, like you mentioned, songs like Numb. That's always been in our band, that sort of sound and it's part of our taste, but we've never successfully gone towards it. And yeah, I think this album, we just both decided we were going to go towards that direction more. And yeah, they definitely capture a side of the band. Those two songs, I guess, suffer to an extent as well that perhaps we've not shown people before. It's a new side of us. So yeah, I'm looking forward to playing some of those songs live for sure.
Yeah, I haven't heard such sounds from you before. This is a new experience with Hertz. For sure. But yeah, those, like I say, those sounds have always been there. It's just we've not had the vehicle for it, not had the moment to use them. And these are the influences that we have always had. We've always loved music like that, but we've just never found a way to make it to practically put it in a Hertz song. And this time we just approached it with more of a sense of abandon, and we decided to just do exactly what we wanted, and so that they are the results. So this kind of inspiration is coming up from other music you heard before, or is this coming up direct to you from wherever?
Just from everywhere, you know. We love music. We've loved music, and we've been making music together for 15 years. So it's so the influences are just all over the place. And when we sit to make music, we don't really talk about it. We just kind of do it, and then these things happen. So, and then the things that we connect to, that's what starts to become an album. So yeah, it's they come from all over the place, the influences, really.
And in a way, it seems to be a very consequent thing about this phrase people call the Manchester sound.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think there's a great legacy of bands from Manchester who make more melancholy music, make sort of electronic music, and we're just proud to have started the band there and to have been influenced by those bands, because they still are an influence, you know, bands like New Order, bands like the Smith, things like that. Like those are bands that enjoy Division. They're bands that influence us now. So yeah, it's a big part of who we are for sure.
And do you think you will influence former musicians?
Don't know. I mean, who knows, really? I think we just not something we really think of. We just try and be the best version of ourselves that we can be, and then who knows?
Oh, it makes me so curious to see this new songs live, really. I tell you. That doesn't matter. But there are some other special moments to find in the songs. For example, the sound of a coffee machine in the beginning, I think it's the beginning, of Suffer.
Show me your sexy little intellect, and I'll show you how to make your head and body disconnect. My darkest feelings start to coalesce, and I feel the bubbles as my blood, it starts to effervesce.
How came that?
That day we were unsuccessfully making music, I remember, and we'd had a few days or a period where struggling a little bit more, and the coffee machine was a sort of a last resort. I remember listening to the sound it made in a kitchen, and I thought to myself, the sound was so evil and it was so evil and unmusical in a way, and for lack of any other inspiration, I remember deciding to loop it on itself, and then very quickly it became a bass line. And then, as these things happen a lot, sometimes all it takes is one moment of inspiration, and you never know where it's going to come from. It's not the only appliance on the album. There's another electrical appliance, the song Voices, which is the first song on the album. That began with the sound of a microwave from the same kitchen. So
that's a microwave? Really?
Yeah. So I think bands need to start using kitchen equipment more for their inspiration. Hopefully we're setting a trend.
Okay, I try the thing with the mixer. Okay. But I found other surprising moments on the record as well. For example, complete other thing, but anyway surprising, the very special outro after the finish from Slave to Love. Slave to Love, correct me if I'm wrong, stops short, and then there's an outro.
Yeah, that's I think at the time I'd been watching a lot of horror films. I watched The Shining, I remember, the week before then, and the music is in that film is so obscure and almost inappropriate at times. it startles you every time it happens, which I guess is the beauty of the film and the soundtrack. But I always wanted to do that at the end of a song, to have this horror film crescendo that sort of is almost disconnected from the main song, and it was just a perfect opportunity to do it. So yeah, it's a really cool moment on the album. It's not a moment that will ever be replicated live, unfortunately, but it's an interesting moment and breaks up the mood momentarily, puts you into a slightly claustrophobic, strange mood, I think.
Because of this horror film music makes you for a moment feeling unwell.
It's a sensory. Hopefully, the album is quite diverse, and it's a moment of sensory deprivation almost. It's a very strange mood to be sunken into without really asking for it. I think it's an interesting moment.
Okay, people, forget what I told you about the song. There's nothing happening. Just listen to the album.
Yeah.
Okay. As we said before, this should be the time to celebrate new songs live, but because of Corona, there will be no concerts this year. So, what are your plans for the time until your tour hopefully starts in spring 21?
Well, yeah, we're looking forward to the tour. I think we have to be optimistic at this stage because that's all we have. I think we're confident that it can happen, I think, and we'll just be working until then to make it possible, because there's a lot of work that has to go on behind the scenes to make sure that it's doable. So yeah, that's what the time will be spent. And yeah, now the album's out and people can hear it and things like that. It's just about seeing what else we can do to reach people.
And you're thinking about how the show works, how is the dynamic and the atmosphere. Is there any kind of director? Are you your own director by yourself?
No, we do. Yeah, we do a lot of the work ourselves, but we have a great set designer who we've worked with for years, who helps sort of bring our ideas to life. So yeah, there's a lot that goes into it, because the plan really is to always make sure that people get something more from the live experience than they do on the album. I think that's what we've always tried to do over these last 10 years, is make sure that the shows are very special and they give people another dimension to the songs.
So there's a lot of work to do, and you're not just celebrating a very, very long Christmas.
Maybe that too.
And by the way, does Corona affect your life, your daily life right now? We just heard in Manchester they had a lockdown again.
Oh really? I didn't see that.
A couple of weeks, 2 weeks or so ago.
Yeah.
I heard this from a band I know, and they posted, "Oh shit, lockdown again in Manchester."
Yeah, I mean, what an awful time. It seems to go on forever. It's a desperate time for a lot of people, and I think every human being is looking forward to a time when this passes. Hopefully that'll be sooner rather than later.
And so what is your way to pull through the crisis?
Yeah, I think it's a challenge because it forces you into isolation, and even people who celebrate being alone and enjoy their own company, I think, begin to suffer, especially when the time passes and it becomes almost oppressive, the isolation. I think people are happy to be isolated when they have a choice to be social if they choose. But if that choice is taken away from you and you're forced into it, there's a slight feeling of imprisonment, I feel, and I think a lot of people, especially those with mental health problems, are really struggling to cope with it. So I'm personally no different. I find it a real struggle. At first I liked it. First I thought it was an opportunity to reflect and refresh, and while that may be true, I think we're all ready for some sort of normality to resume.
So I hope for that. To me, it is like there are vanishing some things I like in my business and in my life. For example, the last time you stayed here at our studio, and now we have to do an interview by phone call. But
yeah, that's strange.
Just a little drop in it and all these things. Let's go over to more positive things. You start your tour in Russia, and you're doing there a lot of dates. So, do you have a special relationship to the Russian audience?
Yeah, we seem to. I think we've always been a band that have travelled outside of our home country, and that's all we ever know as a band. And Germany is a big part of that, and Eastern Europe. And the fan base in Russia just seems to have grown constantly the whole time. And we did I think 11 shows on the last tour there, and it was amazing. And now it's 17 shows, which is more than anywhere else in the world by a long stretch. So it's a big country as well. Obviously, it's a country that takes up most of the planet. So it's that's a big part of it. But yeah, there seems to be a great connection with our music there, and yeah, it's a fascinating and beautiful place that we're very lucky to visit.
And later you said you're in Germany. We have 2 dates right now. Is there more to come?
Yeah.
Maybe, perhaps. I think next year is hopefully will be a rebirth of live music, and there'll be lots of opportunities to come back to Germany. Hopefully we play some festivals. We played some great festivals in Germany before. It'd be great to do some more of those. So hopefully next summer we can. There'll be more in Germany.
So we're waiting for Rock im Park and Rock am Ring. You played it before.
That was amazing. That was one of the best gigs we've ever done. You know, it was
I've seen
it was a dream. It was a dream for us to play there because I'd watched it a lot when I was young on the TV, and we played there twice, and the audience was so amazing for us. So yeah, it'd be amazing to play also. We've done a lot of other festivals in Germany, which have been fun. So yeah, it'd be nice.
So there are a lot of things I can look forward. And after that, you do a tour finish in London and then in Manchester. To me, and we talked about this years before, you used to have very long tourings. So this is a short one for Hertz. Or will it go on and on and on?
I think these things tend to go on and on, but I don't think it's that short really. We're starting with 16 dates in Russia, or however many it is. I mean, it doesn't feel so short when you're traveling around Russia because it's so big. I think it's a couple of months to tour, but then it will quickly fade into festivals, and then before you know it, you've been on the road for a year, and that's part of the job that we love. And so yeah, it will probably be the same this time.
So bring it all together, what we said till now. We have a really brilliant new album here. Listen to it, people. There are shows to come, indoor, and later probably some festivals. And then we're looking for an autumn tour, and I hope to see you over here.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So I thank you for your time, for the call.
Thank you. It was a great interview. That you tell you'd listened to the album, which is really kind and really thoughtful. So thank you.
Der Star-Podcast bei Antenne 1.